I feel like sometimes HBO makes shows and then forgets about them. One of these was Avenue 5, a weird spaceship comedy workplace drama about awful people in space who never leave and bad things happen. It's just bad. It's bad things, bad people in space, super expensive. This cast is amazing. But somehow they just fill it with all of this awfulness, and you just feel bad for them, and you feel bad about them, and you feel bad for everyone who's... It's a piece of work. This show is a piece of work. I don't know how they made this. I don't know who signed off on this show, but man, this show was weird. This show was bizarre. This show had just awful people doing awful things. But in that regard... this show came out, like a year ago? So a year later, A, how well do I remember the characters? B, do I even like the characters? And C, what else is there to say about them? There's a lot here to investigate, so let's dive in. First, this guy's character, God, I don't even remember any of their names. I can only remember them as Jared from Silicon Valley. So... he in this show was quite funny. I do remember he did very well. His show was very promising, and just straight from the get-go, I thought that he brought a lot of interest to the character and the part. Didn't add much to the show overall. None of them did. They all just kind of made bad choices and bad things happened. But inevitably, this is a show all about, Dr. House's character. Because again, I cannot remember their names. So who do I remember? This is kind of the challenge here, because I do remember him. He played his part very well. Very funny. The problems he gets into are absolutely absurd and ridiculous. And there's so much there that you're just like, this is crazy. I feel bad for him. I feel bad for everyone involved in the situation. But it's not his fault. Well, it kind of is. His whole backstory is funny. This whole thing's just... It's expertly done chaos, but like really black humor. So, who do I think is the only character in this show that has any redeeming qualities? The engineer. She was a great character, performed very well, acted very well. I don't really have anything negative to say about her. Sure, she gets a little, crass at some time, but you need that straight man in any comedy to work. You need the one person who knows what's going on. You need everyone else to just randomly fire off against them and to like bounce in different directions. So she was that anchor, and she did very good, and she had a lot of fun with the character, and you could tell that she played that irritated, boiling under anger really, really well. So for what she was, I would say that she did an excellent job. Now, who is the prime antagonist of this show? It was her. The Karen character. And I don't like this character. I do not like this character at all. Super annoying. Super abrasive. Just awful. Awful character. You see her, you hate her. And you hate her through this whole series. But you can't deny that she makes this series what it is. And she was the only one there who really understood the whole, this is like filthy, awful garbage people. So let's really dive deep into the ugly, and let's really just tear this veneer of perfection apart. And she starts off as a Karen, and she ends up as a super Karen. And just throughout the series, that builds, and there's a lot there, and it's interesting, and you get to see her develop, and you get to see her have all these issues. So yeah, overall, no real complaints. Who else do I remember? Well, Josh Gad's character was also very funny. Do I like his character? No. Do I think his character was as impactful as I wanted it to be? Not on the same level as some of the others. But definitely to the point where I felt like he was super memorable. I feel like he was a lot of fun. You can definitely tell he was having a lot of fun with this character. Just the absurdity of it. But the thing is that his character actually isn't that far off from like a lot of modern billionaires. Like you can see elements of Bezos. You can see elements of Zuckerberg. Like, all of those characters exist within this fake persona, and it's just, he plays it really well. And he does a really good job of just being that whole despicable underbelly of humanity that we all just despise and hate. So, in that regard, I think it's only fair that he's included. Like, there's a lot there, and I don't think you can deny that he does a good job of it. Now, who are the other characters that I primarily remember? I remember the musician. I feel like the musician wasn't super impactful in the series. I feel like they did a good job of playing off of him. I remember seeing him in Yesterday. He's actually an extremely talented musician. I remember in this show, I just kind of felt like he was a bit of a tag-along character. I don't really feel like he had much impact on everything. I don't really feel like he was having as much fun. But maybe that's just his persona. Maybe he's just more relaxed and more lackadaisical about things. So, I will say that he did a good job with his part. And I do remember him being a lot of fun and very interesting. So, I think it's safe to kind of keep him in the list, keep him in the running, and just kind of progress through that way. Now, who else do I remember? Her character is so... You feel so bad for her. Because you really feel like she's oftentimes like the one piece of logic. More of like the corporate doesn't really know how to handle things and is kind of unbelievably... You just feel bad. You feel so bad for her. You feel bad for everyone in this show. It's a crap situation that they end up in. What they do is just absurd and awful, and it kills you. It kills you. This whole show is just bad. And I don't mean that in the sense that it's bad, it's not enjoyable to watch, but just these are all pretty despicable humans, and it doesn't get better. Now, who else do I really remember from this roster? I remember him, the original. I remember him being a very funny character. Again, you can tell they're all having a lot of fun, even though there's a lot there that's very firmly tongue-in-cheek, very firmly of the mindset of just, bathing in the awful, bathing in the crap that they're going through. So, for his part, he did a really good job of being that engineer type, being that figure who was trying to keep things progressing, and with that little bit of the hippy-dippy atmosphere, it balanced everything off very nicely, so it's good to have that there. The other stewardess, the stewardess, I should say, didn't enjoy her character, but I remember her character. And I remember her playing that character like pitch perfect. So I don't really have any complaints there. I feel like she performed admirably. I feel like she was funny, very over the top, very much a Rebel Wilson type. I feel like had she not been cast, it would have been Rebel Wilson in this part. But, things happen. And then we go. Who else is there? I remember him. I remember he had a very good role. I remember he had a very good part. And overall, I don't have any complaints about his character, other than I feel like some of the characters lacked that little bit of oomph. And, overall, I don't really have any complaints about the characters themselves. I will say that the passengers do kind of... Well, I would say that these are all kind of in the bottom because I simply don't remember them. If I don't remember you in a series that I don't remember, that's pretty bad. So why am I ranking this? Why am I ranking this series? But lack of knowledge, lack of remembrance. I don't even know if they're going to bring this back for another season. So, I don't know. The answer to this is simple. A, I'm going to release this on Saturday when the least people are going to watch. And B, I don't know how I feel about this show. I was originally looking for Avenue Q songs, and I was going to rank those because I'm very familiar with those. And I saw this, and I was just like, well, this will do. This will be interesting. But this is truly a random ranking for me because I'm just grasping at straws, trying to remember who everyone was and what their roles were when I'm just comparing them to different things that they did. So, overall, do I think this was a good show? I felt like this was a very mean-spirited show. I felt like this was look at awful people and let's treat them badly and make you feel bad for getting off on these people being treated badly. And I don't know. Is there a need for that right now? Do we need this kind of overly cynical sci-fi these days? It's a good contrast to Star Trek, but at the same time it's a very cynical, dark, bleak show. And there's a lot here that like you watch and you're just like, I don't leave feeling good about this. So, yeah. I thought I would have more to say about this, but overall I just feel like this is a very bleak one. So, This is my opinion of Avenue 5. What did you think of it? Am I way off base? Do you remember this show? Am I crazy? Did this show happen? Is this good? Is this good television? I don't know anymore. You tell me. Until next time.